to the manager, please.
Yeah.
And it's not even please, is it?
Hello, so welcome to another customer complaints and, difficult people video. Part two, because in the last video we did talk about a lot of, well, not a lot, but we talked about some of the earlier complaints that we had, or, people just being the way they are. So, so this one is just continuing that. Yeah. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. We've had thousands of successful sales and lots of lovely feedback on our eBay store. We even get people who post little pictures of their item, which I think is adorable. However, we have one negative feedback, and it really, really annoys me. Because, as you know, we stopped doing our Action Man website, and we were selling it all on over eBay. So there were some bits that were, spares and repair, they were broken, had marks and stuff on. So I sold it all in a big bundle auction, starting at $9.99, thinking...
Sold several bundles.
I sold several bundles, in different conditions. This one clearly stated spares and repairs. There were a few pictures, but, the pictures just basically showed the kind of thing that were in there. But clearly in the condition and the bulk of the description, it said... this is suitable for spares and repairs. Yeah. So it's basically all knackered. Anyway, this guy, two people got into a bidding war and it ended up going for £70.
No, it was more than that. It was over 100.
Over 100.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, lovely.
It was about 136 quid, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So I thought maybe there was something, you saw something in there that was worth a few quid. I don't know, but whatever.
I don't know how, because I don't think you could see the majority of stuff.
No,
it was just a spares and repairs, that pile of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then a few days later, we receive the item, we get a message. The majority of the items in this bundle are broken.
Really? Really?
I was expecting to be able to complete some uniforms. And sets.
Can I just interject?
Of course.
Why would you buy a bundle of stuff which is clearly listed as spares and repairs, where you don't actually know exactly what you're getting in it to complete, sets and to complete uniforms and stuff? Why would you do that? Why would you not go out your way to spend a little bit more on exactly what you need? That was my issue.
I even put in the description that it's ideal for a project for somebody, as in fixing and repairing and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, he said he's had to throw most of it in the bin because it was broken. So obviously he couldn't return it because he'd thrown a lot of it into the bin. I explained to him that it said throughout that it was spares and repairs, blah, 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 The picture showed a few bits that were in there. It did also say, if you have any more questions, please email me before bidding, which is what I always write in auctions. But no. He left us negative feedback stating that we sold something and it wasn't as described.
I think he felt put out because I don't think he had entirely read the description properly. No. He hadn't read anything else in it properly, which is a bit of a problem with some buyers on eBay, is they won't read all the details first. And I think he hadn't done that. He'd just seen this bundle of stuff and maybe he thought he saw something that was exactly what he wanted and all this. But then he kind of just went mad with it, didn't he? And I think he had a bit of regret about spending up as much as he had. Yeah. That we can't control. No. On auctions, we can't control how much people are willing to spend as much as we can on a buy. Now, we can control the upper limit, we can control the offers that we accept, but we cannot control an auction. So it kind of felt a bit like, he felt cheated. He was saying he felt cheated, that it wasn't exactly what he was after. But then I suppose as a seller you feel a bit cheated that this person, looks at something that is obviously spares and repairs and thinks they're getting gold out of it.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of one of those things where, sometimes when you're a seller and you get a negative and it's warranted, right? Let's face it, we've all had this. I once...
Because you've cocked up.
Back in the day, I used to do personal selling every now and again with all the crap I didn't want. So I sold this black blouse and I remember I couldn't be asked to wash it before I sent it, which is really, really bad. I know, I was quite young. But the woman then left me a negative saying it was creased and covered in white hairs because I had cats, right? So I was pissed off because, to be honest with you, it was an easily creasable blouse, so it basically would be creased in the post. So that's what I said in the reply, but it was my fault. It was covered in white hair, so I kind of took the negative because of that. Because it's like, yeah, I was a lazy arse about it, wasn't I really? And I didn't wash it when I should have done. You know, so sometimes you can understand and you just kind of go, yeah, my bad, I won't do it again. But sometimes it's like, well, hang on a minute.
Yeah, and when people say that you've done something that you haven't done, like you've listed it incorrectly when it wasn't listed incorrectly, it really annoys me because I work really hard on my listings and I have to kind of concentrate because I'm dyslexic. It takes me a bit longer than your average bear to get a listing up. So I extra concentrate on it. So for him then to turn around and tell me that I'd advertised it falsely was a bit like...
Yeah, and it's a bit like, it's a bit of a stinger really, isn't it? I mean, if he hadn't have chucked as much as by the sound of it, he chucked a fair bit of it away. If he hadn't have just chucked it in the bin like that, in a right old state... We would have just
accepted a return,
yeah, we would have accepted it back anyway, and he could have looked around eBay and, you know, figured all this out, that actually, you know, he could have just returned it. He didn't need to throw it in the bin. This guy, we will call him Leonardo Da Vinci, right? So Leonardo, yes, I know, isn't it? Yeah. So Leonardo Da Vinci, right? So Leonardo, he bought something from us, which was a tiny little figure, and he had bought from us before. Not a problem at this stage, not a problem. And then it was I think it was a couple of years ago, so it was before Christmas, Royal Mail were on strike, all the postage was completely all over the place, and parcels were taking longer to get to customers. And as is typical, some customers aren't very forgiving about things that are outside of our control. So we had this guy, Leonardo, and we had him message us and say, it's been ages, where's my parcel? So we explained the situation because he might not have known. So basically, the post is taking longer. It's going to be a little bit longer to get to you this time round. He seemed all right about that. He went on his merry way. Anyway, I think it was about 24 hours later, he opens it, haven't received. Unfortunately, he did that because I think this was past the date it should have been with him. So he was well within his rights to open this. Unfortunately, eBay's policies and procedures sometimes don't take into account extenuating circumstances like Royal Mail and other postal services not functioning, like because it's snowing or there's strikes or anything. So they're not functioning the way they should, and you've already posted stuff with them. So basically all we could do at this stage was give him his refund. And after the event, there was a few people we had this with, actually.
Yeah, most people were kind of understanding.
There was a couple of others who received their parcels and they messaged us and they said, I've just received it. What do I do? Do I give you the money for it? But this guy, I think we messaged him and said, have you received his?
Because we could see on the tracking that he had.
Yeah, so we messaged him and just said, have you received it yet? And he came back with, he gave us a mouthful about it. Because we were like, if you've received it, can you leave feedback? Can you just let us know, leave feedback, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, well, what I will do is I will leave you feedback, but I will leave giving you feedback and all this kind of thing for as long as it's taken me to receive it. So he was a petty basically, is what we're saying.
And he said he was going to take the money, the refund that he'd already had, because he was refunded for the item, and it was about £30 item. Yeah. As compensation. Yeah, so he was he you know, unlike these other two people who were like, oh, you know, we feel really bad keeping your item for free. He was just like, oh, well, I'm gonna keep your money anyway. I don't give a f at you. You know, I've got my item, I've got my money, so basically up yours, go away. And it was just, it was a bit actually, because I don't know. There's nothing we could do about it. eBay wouldn't help or couldn't help, I don't know.
In a sense, it does feel a bit, when they do this, right, so they get these things for free, it is stealing. Essentially, it is stealing. But there's not much you can do about it, because it does feel a bit, now, no offence to any of these platforms, as though they facilitate these sort of things happening by saying the customer is 100% always right, therefore they will always get their refund. And it does kind of feel a bit like, I can understand why some people go into reselling and then they come back out of it again, because it's sometimes to deal with some of these things that make you feel like, why did I bother buying these things in and sorting them out and getting them ready and posting them off and, you know, all this kind of thing, when all they're going to do is keep them for free. You know, you might as well just walk around the corner, knock on someone's door and go, here you go, do you want this?
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what's happening with some of this stuff.
And what I don't think they realise, that if they do it to a big corporation, it's one thing. I mean, still wrong. But to a small business, that's taking money away from a small business who, you know, are doing this to survive and pay their bills and things.
And while we're on the subject, you know, a lot of people have said this, is people are now so used, the public is so used to Amazon Prime and this fast track delivery service where you can buy it literally that morning and you can have it by the end of the day, in some scenarios, and generally you get it the next day. And they're so used to this being a thing, because Amazon's kind of come into the middle of this and gone, we've got our own, you know, vans, we've got our own workforce, and they will get your parcels to you like literally the next day. And unfortunately, people who buy from smaller businesses or other businesses, not just small ones, expect this all the time. And it's just, we're not Amazon Prime, we're not Amazon. We don't sell like that. We can't be doing. We're not like that.
And we do live in a society and a world now where it's instant gratification, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone wants everything now.
Yeah, and you know that I think is quite evident in sort of people's use of downloading everything and streaming everything now, because they can just get it like that when they want.
But we digress.
Oh yeah, we've digressed. Anyway, now this guy, what he did, I presume it was a guy. It could have, I don't know. We'll call him Canary, right? So we'll call this guy Canary. And what he did was he sent a couple of offers for a couple of DVDs. Now we've got a DVD on at the moment, which is, they were both Norwich City DVDs. One of them is quite rare and pre-owned, sold for about 35, 40 quid. So we've got a new and sealed of this DVD. I stuck it on for 45. So thinking, you know, someone might have it. Now the trouble is with this DVD is it had an awful lot of labels stuck all over the cellophane, and the minute that I was kind of trying to peel the stickers off, it looked as though it was about to rip the cellophane, so I had to leave a few of them. Now the other DVD sent a reasonable offer, so it was $12.99, he sent $9.99, fine, that great, but he sent a really strange amount.
Yeah,
so $44.99, he sent £15.26. And we were kind of like, what the hell? This is very specific. This is a very specific number. Not kind of, we didn't join the dots at this stage as to what had happened. But we kind of looked at it and we were like, well, this is very specific, but also very, very low. So just basically said, no, sorry, you know, too low, whatever. And declined that offer. He then emailed, or he messaged us on eBay, probably a few hours later, saying £15.26 is what you paid for this, and
that is what I pay.
That is what I pay, right? So didn't take into consideration the fact we also have to post it. So even if we had paid £15.26, out of that comes postage, out of that comes fees, blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff too. So it was just like, what the hell? And he'd attached a photo and he'd zoomed in very, very close to the little label that was on it. Quite a small label as well, it wasn't that big, which had £15.26 written on it. So it was just like, oh, you know, like a lot of these things, we managed to get labels off. We managed to get like old price labels and stuff like that. But there are some exceptions to this where it's very difficult without changing the condition from new to used. So unfortunately this was one of those scenarios. So I was just like, you know,
cheeky,
okay, this seems a little bit cheeky, but never mind, I'm going to go and check his feedback. And his left for others was, it followed that pattern of neutrals and negatives on a regular basis. And it was like, it's one of those scenarios where you look at people's feedback and you go, I kind of dodged a bullet with this person, because it was obvious that he was going to message us about it. We were going to sell it to him, and then there was going to be something wrong with it.
Yeah.
You know, potentially something wrong with it. So I declined his other offer, and then I blocked him, because at the end of the day, it was just one of those situations where you don't want to set yourself up for a fall with someone who, you know, is getting a good deal. He would be getting a really good deal on this DVD, but he wouldn't see it that way.
No.
Because he would find a reason to have a little bit of a moan and whinge. And he had a fairly low feedback score, as well as 120 or something. So I hope you enjoyed that video. We will be doing more stuff, presumably like it, in the future.
Yeah.
So more
I think everyone
about,
can relate to it, can't they?
more about customers who either had an issue but didn't actually contact us and just kind of did their own thing, or they had lots and lots of random thoughts about stuff that they decided to express through messages.
A lot of people shared their experiences of idiot customers, can I say, in the comments. So if you could keep doing that, it makes us feel better that we're not on our own.
Yeah, I don't think we are. I mean, I think every company, even if it's a little one like ours or it's a big company like something like Amazon, for example, they are going to get across the board people who are just simply changeable, or they are just difficult, or they just like to complain, because unfortunately there are people out there who complain about pretty much everything. Quick little story just before I leave you, right? Quick little story about the extent people will go to just simply complain. When I was a kid, I must have been in my very, very, very early teens at this point, back in the Stone Age. I went on holiday to Cornwall. I went to this hotel, and there were two little old ladies who, it appeared, had expressly gone on holiday to complain about every little aspect. So it was a bit like kind of Faulty Towers in that sense, that they specifically went on holiday to complain. I know in Faulty Towers, a lot of the British guests, they moan to each other, but they don't.
Food's awful.
Yeah, oh, it's lovely, Mr. Faulty. But they don't actually complain to people's faces. But these two little old ladies were always at reception, and it appeared as though they just went on holiday to complain. And that's the kind of people, because eBay is such a massive platform. It covers so many different people, a range of people across the world, that there is a massive, massive potential for a huge percentage of those people to be people who just kind of want to go on and just say, this wasn't right, that wasn't right, I hate you, you need to give me refunds. Partial refunds? Never give a partial refund. Never give that.
No.
And I think people have learnt the hard way about partial refunds. Always say we'll have it back. Always say we'll fully refund you when we get it back. Never just cave in. And it was a bit of a fad at one point just to give a few quid back, wasn't it, to get them off your back? And that unfortunately fueled that fire.
Yeah.
Because people suddenly realised, you know what, I can just complain about little aspects of this and get £5 back off this. But no, just don't do it. Just basically say, if you're not going to return it, no, I can't give you anything. Mm-hmm. Basically, you know, yeah. If they don't return it, that's kind of on them then, isn't it? Yeah. Really, to return it.
So if you like our videos, please think about subscribing and liking and commenting.
Yeah, comment about.
We do appreciate you all.
Don't just comment about eBay customers. If you want to put your experiences with people having a moan and complain, literally anything, because these things are hilarious.
Or
aren't
even
they?
better, if you are a serial complainer yourself.
If you enjoy going somewhere and being a massive Karen, don't go there to complain. Leave your complaint in the comment, because we want to read it and have a bloody good laugh. Yes. Right, frankly, that's what we want to do.
Can I speak to the manager, please? Well, it's not even please, is it?
I want to speak to your manager.
I know my rights. Anyway, enough American bashing. We'll see you in the next one.
Yes.
Bye.
You'll make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.